Good morning, students. This is your economics teacher Lakshmi Vyas, and I am here today to start a new chapter which is bank. Yes, it will include commercial bank and central bank in detail. So let's start our today's class with this chapter. First of all, let us see what we are going to discuss today under area of discussion. The very first point will be introduction, where I'll explain about banking system. Then we'll move to the explanation of commercial bank, including the functions of commercial bank and the most important function of commercial bank, which is credit creation. The entire process of credit creation by commercial banks will be explained here. Later on, we'll move to the second more important part, which is central bank. Under that, we'll understand different functions of central bank, including the most important function of central bank, which is credit control. Yes, the credit created by commercial bank is being controlled by the central bank. So we will understand all the methods through which central bank can control the credit. So let's start with the very first introduction. Yes, the term bank is nowadays very important. Basically, what is bank? Bank is a financial institution which accepts the deposit of money from people and lends that money to other people. So basically what bank do is, those who have surplus amount of money with themselves, they can go to bank and deposit their money. Bank will accept that and bank will offer them some interest on that. On the other hand, bank will not keep that money idle. What they will do? They will lend that money to some other people who need it. And the borrower will have to pay again interest. And the interest rate charged by the bank for the loans is always more than the interest rate which the bank is providing to its customer who are depositing there. And the difference of the two interest rate is the income of the bank. And that is how a banking system works. In India, in order to understand the banking system, we need to understand central bank and commercial bank. We all the banks which we are seeing nowadays around us are commercial banks. There are different functions which we commonly know, like different types of loans, different types of services provided by the bank, and so on and so forth. We will learn each one of them in detail in our next part. So let's start with the commercial bank. Commercial bank means an institution which accepts the deposit of money from the public, withdrawable by check or any other mean like cards and all, and uses that money for lending it to customer, and that process creates more money in the market. So basically all the banks which we know, like Punjab National Bank or State Bank or Kotak Mahindra Bank or ICICI Bank, all these banks are commercial banks. At present juncture, Indian commercial banks can be classified into three broad categories. The first is public sector banks, which are owned and managed by the government or some agency of the government, which includes 26 public banks and SBI with its 5 subsidiaries. For example, like Andhra Bank, Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, Oriental Bank of Commerce, Punjab National Bank, all these are public sector banks. Second is private bank. Private sector banks are those banks which are in the hands of private banker. As on 31st March 2017, there are 23 private sector banks with over 24,660 branches. Some major private sector banks are ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank. The third kind of bank is foreign banks. Yes, foreign banks operating in India are wholly owned subsidiaries or branches incorporated in foreign countries. There were 44 foreign banks with 295 branches as on 31st March 2017. Some common and major foreign banks operating in India are Citibank, Standard Chartered Bank, etc. So this is what we need to understand in commercial bank portion, what commercial bank is and what are the types of commercial bank. Moving on to a long question, functions of commercial bank. Yes, what are the different functions performed by a commercial bank? Modern commercial banks perform a variety of functions and provide a number of services to their customers. What are they? Let us discuss in detail. The very first, acceptance of deposit. This is the primary function of a commercial bank, to accept deposit from public. And these deposits can be accepted in many forms. The very first is current account deposit. Current account deposit. The money in these deposits can be withdrawn by the check without any restrictions on the number of time or the amount of withdrawal. These current accounts are most of the time held by traders and businessmen for making their business payment or receiving their business payments. For these, banks do not pay interest. Banks provide various services to the current account holder, such as their making payment through check, collection of check payment, issuing drafts on behalf of the account holders, etc. And in fact, levy certain services charges as well on the customers for these services. So, current account is mainly for businessmen. The second is savings account deposit. It is very common. We all have our savings accounts in bank nowadays, and the money which is deposited in these savings account can be withdrawn at any point of time. There is no such limit on the amount to be withdrawn or the number of, there is restrictions on the number of withdrawals and the amount. The interest rate is also not so high. Basically, these accounts are held by households, general public, salaried class people, retired persons, etc., who basically have idle cash for a short period and want to earn some interest from their income or their savings. So these are the accounts for those people. And the money in this account retains a high degree of liquidity. It can be used at any point of time. Next is fixed deposit account. Yes, money deposited in these fixed deposit is for a fixed time period, like 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. And these deposits are not payable on demand. They do not enjoy the check facility as well, because they cannot be withdrawn with the help of checks. So fixed deposits are basically for earning huge interest. The rate of interest is comparatively higher for these accounts as compared to savings account. So this is the third type. One more name is commonly used, which is recurring account or recurring deposit. Basically, that is a type of fixed deposit where the depositor has to make a regular deposit for a given sum for a specific time period. Moving to the next important function, which is advancing of loans. Advancing of loans, the second primary function of commercial bank, because lending is more profitable business of a bank. The money which bank is accepting, for that bank has to pay an interest. So that is a payment. But that money is being used in advancing of loan, and that is the area from where the bank earns lot of profit. There are different forms of loans available in the market from the bank. Let us discuss few. The very first is cash credit. Cash credit means a type of loan which is given to the borrower against his current asset, like shares, bond, stock of goods, etc. Now, what happens here? In such cases, bank opens an account in the name of the borrower and allows him to withdraw the amount of money which he requires. But bank charges interest not on the entire amount of the loan sanctioned, but only charges according to the actual amount withdrawn. For example, suppose a person takes a cash credit loan of 10 lakh. So bank will transfer 10 lakh rupees to his account, which is in that particular bank itself. But when the person will withdraw from that account, suppose he is not withdrawing 10 lakh, he is withdrawing only 6 lakh. That bank will charge an interest on 6 lakh, not 10 lakh, in this case of cash credit. Second one is outright loan and advances. Here what happens? Banks provide outright loans for a fixed period. Loans are advanced for short term and medium term. In this kind of a case, when a person takes a loan of 10 lakh, whether the person is using the entire amount or not, he will have to pay interest on the entire amount. That means whether he uses 6 lakh, 4 lakh is still idle kept in his account, but he has to pay an interest of 10 lakh. So that is the difference in the second one. The third one is overdraft facility. Overdraft facility is usually for current account holders, and generally the customers who are reliable and have appropriate securities gets this kind of of benefit from the banks. What happens in such case? In this kind of a case, when a customer gets overdraft facility, this means that he is allowed to draw checks in excess of the balance standing in his account. Even if the person is having 10 lakh rupees in his account, he can make payment of more than that up to that limit which bank allows them. Suppose if the person is having 10 lakh in his account and bank gives him 20 lakh rupees overdraft facility, then he can make a payment of more than 10 lakh because he is having an overdraft facility. And bank will charge interest on the amount which is excess from his account value. So this kind of a benefit is also a type of loan. The fourth one is a common discounting bills of exchange. Now what is bills of exchange? Bills of exchange are drawn by a creditor on a debtor, and that specifies the amount of debt and also the date when it becomes payable. For example, if a person takes a loan of takes a loan of 1000 rupees from another person, or is supposed to pay 1000 rupees to the second one, then he will draw a bill, and that bill will be accepted by the debtor, and the date of maturity of the bill is also mentioned over there. If the creditor needs money before the expiry date of or maturity date of the bill, he can sell it or he can get it discounted from the commercial bank. Then bank will make the payment to the creditor before time and deduct its commission, and when the maturity period will come, then bank will directly get the entire amount of money from the debtor. So in this discounting bill also bank gets some money. So that is called advancing of loan. 4 different types of advancing of loans are there. The third function which we are going to discuss is facilitation of payment through check. Yes, check is very important and widely used medium of payment. Previously we used to carry cash in with ourselves to make payment, but now it's very simple and easily can be done with the help of checks. And check is a principal method of payment in business. It is convenient, it is cheap, and it is safe mean of making payment. So it's an important function of bank. The fourth one is transfer of fund. Yes, banks help us to transfer the fund safely from one place to another place, and for that we can use various credit instruments like check, draft, pay order, mail transfers, online transfers, telegraphic transfers, etc. The fifth function is agency function. Agency function of bank. Yes, banks provide various kinds of agency function for their customers. For example, the very first is commercial bank collects the payment made through check, draft, bills of exchange. They make payment for various kinds on behalf of their customers. They act as an agent for their customer in the sale and purchase of their stocks and sale. At the same time, they render agency services for various types such as buying and selling of foreign currency, etc. A common example is a commercial bank acts as a trustee, an executor, like people can keep their wills with the bank, and after their death bank will execute their will. So there are many agency functions provided by the bank for their customers. The sixth function here is general utility function. Very common. Banks provides us various general utility function services like providing locker facility for safe custody of jewelry and other valuable things. We can keep our essentials, we can keep our assets, papers, credit cards, etc. So there are, okay, we can use bank as issuing traveler's check and gift check are also provided by bank. All these are general utility services provided by the bank for commercial bank for people. The last function mentioned here is credit creation. It is very, very important and a unique function of commercial bank that they have the power of credit creation. Credit creation means creation of money, creation of loan. The amount of money per deposited can be increased. And in order to understand the entire process, we will discuss in our next part. So it is also an important process, which is an important function of commercial bank. So 7 functions are given. If in the question it is not mentioned, then the first 2 are must. Apart from first 2 functions, out of these remaining functions, you can do any 2, you can write any 2 functions when a 6-mark question will come. 4 functions are required to be explained. First and second is important. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, any 2 can be done, but separately any function can be asked. So you have to prepare all 7. Moving to the next 6-mark question. Process of credit creation by commercial bank. How a commercial bank can create credit. Here we can see, first of all, we need to know what is credit creation. The process of multiplication of bank deposit through loans is known as credit creation function of commercial bank. The entire process through which the bank can multiply their number of loans, and as a result, total amount of credit can be increased. In order to understand this, we have to make some assumption. So first of all, there are many commercial banks in the country. Secondly, the cash reserve ratio is to be assumed. What is cash reserve ratio? Cash reserve ratio is the ratio of total deposit of any commercial bank which it will have to keep with central bank. For example, if cash reserve ratio is 20% and a commercial bank is having a 100 rupees deposit, then 20% of that 100, which is 20 rupees, that 20 rupees it has to keep with central bank as reserve, and only remaining 80 rupees can be provided as loan. So here we assume cash reserve ratio 20%. We assume that each bank tries to give loan equal to its excess reserve. Whatever cash reserve is left, the entire amount is given as loan. Rate of interest is same everywhere, and it is assumed that the amount of loan drawn by one customer from one bank is transferred in the second bank, and that of second bank is transferred into third one. So in that manner, we have to see the table given over here, which will show us the entire process. Suppose a person makes a primary deposit of rupees 100 in bank A. Then this bank will keep rupees 20, because cash reserve ratio we assume 20, as reserve, and rupees 80 can be given as loan. Now the person who has taken a loan from bank A will deposit this rupees 80 in bank B, as we have assumed this too, and then bank B will keep a reserve of 16 rupees and will give a loan of 64. Similarly, 64 will be deposited to third bank, bank C, and again the same cash reserve will be taken as 20% and remaining will be given as loan. This process will go on and will come to an end when the deposit received by one particular bank is too small that no more fresh loans cannot be generated. So the total deposit created will be how much? 100 plus 80 plus 64 plus ... It is a GP series, and sum total of a GP series is first term divided by 1 minus the ratio, common ratio. So you will get 500 with the calculation. Then the additional deposit created in this case was 400, because 100 was the initial deposit and 500 is the final deposit. So with 100 rupees as the primary deposit, bank can create 400 more. And here the increase in deposit is 1 by reserve ratio multiplied by change in deposit. So this is the formula which is used to calculate the total deposit. In this way, we can understand a commercial bank creates credit. So here we complete commercial bank. Moving to the next part of the chapter, which is central bank. What is central bank? Central bank is the apex institution in the banking and financial structure of the country. In India, we have our central bank named Reserve Bank of India. RBI was established on 1st April 1935, and initially it was a private shareholders bank. It was nationalized on 1st January 1949 and given wide powers. The executive head of RBI is called Governor. Its headquarters is at Mumbai, and which is known as Commercial Capital of India. It has 4 zonal offices at Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai and Mumbai for 4 regions, which is Northern, Eastern, Southern and Western respectively. RBI has 25 offices which are located in the state capitals and a few major cities of India. And there are 9 sub-offices of RBI as well. Here we need to discuss functions of central bank. What are the major functions of a central bank? 9 functions are mentioned here. Let us discuss each one of them. The very first is bank of issue. Central bank is called bank of issue. It enjoys the monopoly of note issue. Yes, the currency notes and coins are issued by the central bank, and that is why they are called legal tender, because they are being issued by the government. In India, with the exception of 1 rupee note, which are conventionally issued by the government of India, Finance Ministry, the entire note, except 1 rupee note, all the notes are issued by Reserve Bank of India. Why? Because when the currency notes are issued by central bank of a nation, it brings uniformity in the notes. It enables the government to have supervision and control over the supply of money. So it is important to have all the notes similar issued by the government, and that is why the first function is bank of issue. The second function is banker, fiscal agent and advisor to the government. Central bank is in all the countries performs this function for their government. It accepts deposit and advances loan to the government, so it is a banker of the government. It manages public debt as a physical agent of a government. It advises the government on all the financial and monetary matters and in the formulation of economic policies like policy to control inflation, deflation, devaluation, budgetary policy, etc. So, central bank is banker, fiscal agent and advisor to the government. The third function is banker to the bank. Yes, we all have commercial banks as our bank. Similarly, commercial banks have central bank as their bank, and that is why central bank is called banker of the bank. The functions which commercial banks provide for us, all the functions are provided by central bank to the commercial bank as well. For example, as we can have an account in commercial bank can have their account in central bank. They can deposit there, they can take loans from there, and that is why they can keep their reserves as well in the central bank. That is why central bank is also known as lender of the last resort. It's a 3 marks question. Why central bank is called lender of the last resort? The answer will be, as during financial crisis, common people can take a loan from commercial bank. Similarly, when commercial banks are in their financial crisis situation, they can take loan from central bank. And that is why central bank is known as lender of the last resort. The function 4 is custodian of nations, foreign exchange and reserve. The fifth function here you can see is lender of the last resort. That is what I explained right now. Moving on to the custodian of nations, foreign exchange reserve. As the custodian, the central bank performs many functions. Like central bank controls both the receipt and the payment of foreign exchange. It buys and sells the foreign currency in the market so that it can minimize the fluctuations in the foreign exchange rate. So foreign exchange is entirely controlled by the central bank of a nation, that is RBI in our case. Lender of the last resort, as I already explained, during financial crisis, commercial bank can take help from central bank. So at the end, the last, who is giving the resort, who is giving the assistance, who is helping, who is the one is central bank, and that is why central bank is called lender of the last resort. The sixth one is clearing house for transfer and settlement of mutual claims of commercial banks. Yes, whenever there is any transaction between two commercial banks, then central bank is the one who helps. That means when suppose Canara Bank and PNB, Punjab National Bank, are having some transactions, then whether that mutually the transaction is being cleared or not, if someone has taken loan from other or any kind of a transaction, then whether that is clear or not, that is also checked by the central bank of a nation. So RBI will see whether if there will be any dispute between two commercial banks as well. That is why it is called clearing house. Okay. The last one after this is promotional and developmental functions. Yes, promotional and development in developing countries, central bank not only perform the traditional functions as we have explained above, it also performs some additional promotional functions. Like central bank is entrusted with the responsibility of developing and promoting a strong banking system. It provides liberal and cheap rediscounting facility to the commercial bank and gives various types of concessions. Central bank discharges various functions so as to promote economic development. It assists in the development of financial institutions like developmental bank to provide investable fund for the development of agriculture, industry, other sectors of economy. It helps in the development of money. So there are many other functions as well. This function is not so important when you write an answer, but separately also it is not that important for a question answer form. Though it is an important function of the bank, but for writing an answer it is not that important. The last one is publication of economic and statistical information. Yes, if you go and check the website of Reserve Bank of India, you will get all the datas, like all the information relating to growth, production, employment, inflation, everything is available in the website of RBI. Why? Because these central bank collects the information and prepare their reports and publish the reports periodically on their websites, and that is very helpful for the government to make the policies. At the same time, very helpful for people, for students, for researchers, for scholars. All of them can make study based upon the correct data provided by the central bank of a nation. I left the point 8, which is controller of credit, because I'm going to explain this in detail in the second part, because it is also a very important function of central bank. How the credit created by commercial bank can be controlled by the central bank. Let us discuss this now. Credit control. Credit control means control is not always decrease in the credit. Control can be increase or decrease. It depends upon the situation. Whenever there will be a requirement to increase, it can be increased. When the requirement is to decrease the credit, it can be decreased. So in order to control the credit facility in any economy, central bank can use two types of methods. First is quantitative method, second is qualitative method. Quantitative method means when the entire quantity, the total available credit is affected by that. And in that case, there is no special case. It is in general. If the credit will increase, it will increase for all the sectors. If it will decrease, it will decrease for all the sector. So the entire quantity will be affected. There will be no discrimination. Under this policy, the instruments which can be used, the very first is bank rate. What is bank rate? Bank rate is the minimum rate at which central bank gives loans and advances to the commercial bank or rediscounts the approved bill of exchange and government securities held by the commercial bank. So when the bank want to increase the credit, it will decrease the bank rate. If the bank want to decrease the credit, it will increase the bank rate. So inverse relation will be there. And now bank rate has been replaced by RBI with repo rate as a monetary instrument to manage the liquidity and interest rate. So repo rate or repurchase rate is the rate of interest at which RBI lends to the commercial bank for a short period against government bonds. So what we need to know is we should know the definition and concept of each method and what will be done with this method in order to increase the credit and to decrease the credit. That is what we need to write in the answer form. In case of repo rate, there is again a reverse repo rate. Reverse repo rate is the rate of interest at which RBI borrows from the commercial bank for a short period of time. So got the difference? Repo rate means the rate which is charged by RBI when it lends. Reverse repo rate is the rate of interest at which RBI borrows from commercial bank. So these are the two rates. Now the second one, cash reserve ratio. As I already said, cash reserve ratio means the minimum percentage of total deposit with the commercial bank which they are required to maintain in the form of cash with the central bank. As I said, if cash reserve ratio is 4%, which is the current value, then out of each 100 rupees, 4 rupees are supposed to be kept in RBI for each bank. So total, whatever be the total deposit, 4% of that will be kept as a cash reserve in RBI. And remaining 96% can be used for loan. So in order to increase the credit facility, it will be decreased. In order to decrease the credit facility, cash reserve will be increased. One more term is mentioned here, which is statutory liquidity ratio, which is also a kind of cash reserve ratio, but the only difference is that in SLR, statutory liquidity ratio, the bank can keep cash or gold or government security, anything. It is not mandatory to keep cash itself. But in CRR, they has to keep cash. The current value is 19.4%. Moving to the next part, which is open market operation. What happens in market? Sale and purchase. So in open market also, sale and purchase of government bonds and securities are done by central bank in the capital market or money market. So what happens in open market? Suppose if bank want to increase the credit, then it will purchase security from the capital market. So when it will purchase security, it will give money in the market and automatically money will increase, so loans will increase. On the other hand, if bank want to decrease the credit, it will sell the securities. And when central bank will sell the security, commercial banks will purchase it and in return they will make the payment. So cash in hand with commercial banks will decrease. So they won't be able to take more loan. When they won't be able to give more loans, credit will be controlled. So in all these quantitative methods, we can see that there is no specific effect on specific area, rather all the effects are general. On the other hand, qualitative instruments. Qualitative instruments are specific. They are done for selectively credit control. How? The very first given here is regulation of consumer credit. It is an important instrument of selective credit. What bank can do? Suppose in order to reduce a particular kind of loan, bank can regulate the use of bank credit by changing the interest rate charged on that particular loan and by influencing the amount of down payment, number of installment for repaying the loan, maximum period of repayment. For example, suppose if central bank wants that more of the bank credit should be given to customer, then what it can do? It can reduce the down payment. It can increase the number of period of repayment. If central bank wants to decrease the number of loans, it will do the just opposite. Down payment will be increased, so more people will not be able to take loan. So the entire credit system can be regulated by central bank. And suppose if specifically it want to decrease the car loans, then down payment of car will be increased. Others will be same. So it will selectively impact that particular loan. Regulation of margin requirement. Margin requirement means the difference between the value of security and the amount of loan granted against the security is called margin requirement. So margin requirement means, for example, suppose when a central bank fixes a margin requirement of 10% against the security of food grain, then the trader in food grain can borrow 9,000 against a stock of 10,000. If he has a stock of 10,000 rupees, then he can borrow till 9,000 rupees because 10% is the margin requirement. Now, if central bank wants to expand credit, means credit increased, then it will decrease the margin requirement. It will make the margin requirement from 10% to 5%. Then the trader can take a loan of 9,500. Just opposite can also be done. If central bank wants to decrease the credit, it will increase the margin requirement. In place of 10%, now the margin requirement is 20%. So the trader cannot take a loan more than 8,000. So in that way, margin can be changed and credit system can be controlled. The third one is credit rationing. In credit rationing, the main aim is to limit the maximum amount of bank loan. For example, central bank can fix the maximum amount of loan and advance which can be given by a commercial bank, or central bank can fix the maximum ratio of loan with their deposit. For example, suppose if commercial bank wants to specifically decrease the number of loans of Kotak Mahindra Bank, then what it can do, it can fix the maximum amount of loan. Like RBI can say that Kotak Mahindra will not be able to sanction loan of more than 1 crore in this year. That is done. Credit rationing is done. So in that way, directly credit can be rationed. It can, maximum number of loans it can be fixed, or with ratio of deposit and loan can also be fixed. Like 60% it can only provide loan. So the more deposit, more will be loan. Less deposit, less will be loan. So this can be fixed by RBI. Next is direct action. Direct action means various directives issued by the central bank to commercial bank from time to time to regulate their lending and investment activity. And here central bank can take direct action against commercial bank. This may not be used against all the bank, but against the banks which are not following the policies of central bank, direct actions can be taken in the form of like refusal of rediscounting facility, refusal of loan from central bank, charging penalty rate for interest So this can be done by central bank to control. The fifth one is very important for a separate short question as well, moral suasion. All these methods explained till now were orders from central bank to commercial bank. But this moral suasion is the only method where request is done. Yes, moral suasion is a method of request, informal suggestion, advice to the commercial bank by the central bank. And here central bank tries to convince the meeting of the heads of commercial bank and explains to them the need for adoption of any particular policy and appeals to them to follow this policy. For example, central bank may request the commercial bank not to grant loan for speculative purpose. Now, central bank relies upon its moral influence on the commercial bank and their heads. The final decision making power is in the hands of commercial bank in this case, because it is not an order, it is a request, so they can accept it or they can refuse it, it's up to them. The last method is publicity. It is another method of selective control, and the central bank expresses its view about various monetary and banking policy. It may put forward its views by using facts and figures through the media of publicity. Central bank uses this method for influencing credit policies of the commercial bank as well as influence the public opinion in the country. So what we can say that there are large variety of instruments that can be used by central bank to regulate. In order to prepare a 6-mark question separately for quantitative and qualitative, you can leave the point publicity or direct action from the qualitative portion, consumer credit, margin requirement, moral suasion, credit rationing. These 4 are more important from qualitative, and the quantitative is only 3 points are given. So this is what you need to do from here. So here we complete our chapter of banking system. Thank you, children. The more important questions from this portion are central bank, functions of central bank, credit control by central bank, commercial bank and functions of commercial bank, then credit creation of commercial bank. Difference between central bank and commercial bank can also be done. I hope after discussion of central bank and commercial bank in detail, you yourself can write differences between central bank and commercial bank, keeping their functions in mind. Now take care of yourself, stay healthy, stay safe, stay at home. Thank you.